Hi guys, Brexit was never about helping small business owners, but it was about moving the country to the right economically. It was about removing what some unscrupulous business people saw as costs, such as environmental protections, workers' rights, and product standards. Farage and others knew that immigration alone wouldn't achieve that, so they sold Brexit as a benefit to small and medium-sized enterprises. The reality is that those are the ones struggling the most. Here at European Movement UK spoke to foreign and British nationals who run businesses in the UK about the impact of Brexit.
Our main concern are like the workers. Finding staff is an absolute nightmare.
I'm the manager of this place and I can't find valuable people.
How do you think Brexit has impacted this business, or has it?
Very hard to actually sell into Europe now because you can't risk, it being stuck at a post office somewhere or the custom forms filled in incorrectly. So you just don't risk it.
I would say for me it only changed in the fact that I was able to sell in all Europe, and now I had to stop.
There is always now short of stuff in terms of all the sectors. Like you hardly get stuff these days. I hear that there is so many business actually shut down because they didn't have enough stuff there.
We sell donuts, churros, chocolate strawberries. Been up here a couple of years now, and times are harder than ever.
Do you think that Brexit has had an impact on your business?
I think it has, because it's made it. Look, for instance, with our churros, we use Spanish wheat flour. So for us to import it is more awkward and more expensive. That's £5 then, please.
Export, import, prices have gone up. People aren't coming over. The flights are more expensive. It's harder for them to get in here.
People, rather than coming to London, because they've now got to go for the hassle of getting into the country, so a lot of French people are going to Rome or somewhere else. We're 4 weeks away from Christmas, and you've got empty stalls at the market, which is crazy.
It's crazy. Every aspect of Brexit was touched on here in this short clip of a minute and a half, more or less. So they talked about the trouble businesses have accessing the workers they need. If they can find workers, obviously they have to pay them higher wages because of supply and demand. And then that cost has to be passed on to the consumer. And if the consumer is not willing to pay that extra cost, well, they're not going to buy the product, and then the business will suffer. The problems of exporting, the paperwork involved, the risk that you try and sell something into the European single market and it gets stopped at customs and it gets blocked there, and then it has to be returned to the business owner, and the business owner has to bear that extra cost. So in many cases, they're just giving up on that. It's not worth the hassle. It's not worth that extra cost and the risk involved. Also importing, the man pointed out about Spanish wheat flour. So he has to fill out extra paperwork. He has to pay extra cost related to that. So his solution, well, the options for him could be to charge more to the consumer or to drop the product. If he drops the product, there's a risk to his business. And finally, the tourist aspect. So there are fewer tourists coming in from the European Union. It used to be so easy for people just to jump on a plane or jump on a train and come to Britain. But because of the visa system, because of the ending of freedom of movement, it must be remembered that the vast majority of, for example, Italians don't have a passport because they don't need a passport to travel around Europe. But to travel to Britain, you need to have a passport. So there's a hassle involved in getting a passport just to go to Britain. So, for example, in the past, a lot of students, high school students, would travel to Britain to stay for a couple of weeks to improve their English, to learn English. That is ending now because of the hassle involved in every student needs to have a passport. They can travel freely around Europe using their photo ID. So what are the solutions here? Well, neither of the main parties are providing any real solution. The Conservatives are ignoring Brexit, and the Labour Party are talking about veterinary agreements or tinkering around the edges. The solution to, for example, the problem of getting people into the country means, well, to bring back freedom of movement, for example. But freedom of movement will be one way. It won't be British citizens being able to take advantage of freedom of movement back into the European Union until the UK rejoins the European Union. But that's not going to happen overnight. When it comes to exporting goods, well, there's nothing really that can be done there because the UK is outside the single market. Closer alignment would help in some ways, but we're still talking about the costs and the bureaucracy being involved in being a third country. So there are a whole range of problems that will remain in place until at least the politicians accept that there is a problem and that they actually have a solution. What are the solutions that they can provide? Well, we're not hearing very much at the moment. So it's pretty dire. It's going to be dire for the next number of years. And the fundamental problem here is that the politicians, their heads are in the sand. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.